Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Today we will recite the second Salok and Pauri of Gauri Sukhmani Mahalla Panjwa, better known to all of us as Sukhmani Sahib. The way that it seems to me the best way to go forward would be to avoid reading the entire Ashtapadi, because that would be quite a bit of reading. Instead, what we'll attempt to do is to recite the Salok, which is the introduction, and the first section of the Ashtapadi, the first pada, because it has 8 subsections, the Ashtapadi does. So that is what we will do going forward, unless we get suggestions to the contrary. So I'm going to read the Salok first, followed by the first pada of the Ashtapadi. Salok Deen Dard Dukh Bhanjana Gat Gat Nath Anath Saran Tumari Ayo Nanak Ke Prabh Saath Ashtapadi Jeh Mat Pita Sut Meet Na Pai मन ऊहा नाम तेरा संग सहाई जय महाभयान दूत जम दलै तह केवल नाम संग तेरा चलै जह मुश्किल होवे अत भारी हर को नाम खिन माहे उधारी अनेक पुनः चरण करत नहीं तरै हर को नाम कोट पाप पर हरै गुरमुख नाम जपो मन मेरे नानक पावो sukh ganere. So that was the first section or subsection of the Ashtapadi, and we will now reflect on the second Salok and Ashtapadi in totality. So to just refresh our minds, if you recall, in the opening stanza of the Sukhmani, Guru Arjan declared that the goal of life was to overcome the mind's inherent infirmities, and he called these infirmities Kal-Kalesh. That is how they are referred to in the Indian context. These are states of mind that are believed to be deluded, ignorant. They classify these kaleshas according to some scheme, and the chief of them being what is called avidya, ignorance, spiritual ignorance. So the infirmities of the mind have to be overcome. The mind has to be made healthy, and it is made healthy through the process of Simran. Simara, to achieve that state of wholesomeness, which is called Sukh. Simar Sukh Pavo. But before we proceed, it may be in place to actually try and get some conceptual clarification around both Sukh and Simran. So let's talk about Sukh first. When we think of Sukh or say Sukh, we are really thinking about the day-to-day moments of happiness that we are all trying to perpetuate in our lives. Now, Sukh in this sense of the word is included in what Guru Arjan is saying, but that is a byproduct, if you will. It is not the main thing. In essence, the Sukh that Guru Arjan speaks of is related to knowledge, especially knowledge of the self, as he himself gives us that hint. Sukh Amrit Prabh Naam. Naam is Sukh. Self-knowledge is how we are defining Naam. We'll talk about that later in later segments. Self-knowledge is the basis of Sukh. As a matter of fact, it is Sukh. So the mind has to actually be able to become its innate natural self. So that's Sukh. Simran comes from the root Smaranam, which means literally an uninterrupted remembrance. And it has a couple of connotations that we would like to present to you. It represents both a practice and a state of mind. So one practices Simran to achieve a state of Simran, you see. And in Sikhi, the practice Simran involves attention, sune. And the state of Simran is best described as self-awareness, Atam Gyan. So attention, Simran, leads to self-knowledge, Naam, which results in self-awareness. That's basically the message. So in this passage, the Guru provides us insight into Naam. So at the very outset, he encourages us to seek the guidance of the Guru Enlightener to understand what Naam is. Gurmukh Naam Japo Man Mere Nanak Pavo Sukh Ganere. If you're looking for self-knowledge, Naam, then seek the guidance of the Guru Enlightener. Because this is not like learning another technical subject. This is actually knowledge of the self, and it is something that can be transmitted only through the channel of someone who is accomplished in this, on this path. And Guru Arjan links Naam in this Salok and Pori to the Har Self, implying that the self and its knowledge are indistinguishable. And then he assures us that Naam is the knowledge that will carry you successfully to your existential destiny, which is union with the self. Now, we will spend a little more time in the next segment on what Naam really is. For now, we will just look very briefly at the Salok and the Ashtapadi. Deen dard dukh bhanjana, gat gat nath anath, saran tumhari ayo, nanak ke prabh saath. So, ghat ghat nath anath, the master who reigns over every heart. In other words, the presence of the self, the essence in every heart, is being addressed. We are anath, forlorn, hapless. We are dejected, deen, and we are filled with pain, dard dukh. Remember, these are the infirmities that we were talking about. Dukh is another word for kal, kalesh. And so the Guru says, we seek the shelter of your wisdom. Saran tumari ayo, for you are the destroyer of pain and suffering. So in another way, the Guru is saying that it is knowledge that will put an end to our suffering. You see, the self is knowledge. And in the first Ashtapadi, let's just briefly go over that. Jeh maat pita sut meet na pai, man uha naam tera sang sahai. To that place where family and friends cannot accompany you, there the self will go with you and protect you. And we know that the self is a symbol for self-knowledge. So what the Guru is saying is that you are going to travel. It is your existential destiny to travel to a space where no one can accompany you except your knowledge, self-knowledge. Jeh mahabhayan doot jamadala ਤਹਿ ਕੇਵਲ ਨਾਮ ਸੰਗ ਤੇਰੇ ਚਲੈ. To that place where the terrifying minister of death, Dukh Bhanjana, meaning time, to that place where the terrifying minister of death seeks to crush you, there only the self will accompany you. So the Guru is referring to the tyranny of time that we experience, the past, present, and future, which gives rise to a free-floating anxiety. And so the Guru is saying, Teh keval naam sang tere chale. With self-knowledge, it will cease to frighten you. Jeh muskil hove at bhari. If you're weighed down by extreme difficulties, har ko naam khin mahe udhari. The wisdom of the self will lift you khin mahe, in a flash, because it's wisdom. Anik punah charan karat nahi tarah. Repeated rituals will not save you. Self-knowledge alone is the corrective. Har ko naam kot paap par hare. Paap is to go astray, so we have to get back on the path. Knowledge is the corrective. Gurmukh naam japo man mere, nanak pavo sukh ganere. So Nanak appeals to the mind to turn to the good enlightener and find deep bliss within. On that note, until the next time, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.